makes a good social media platform? What makes a good brand?
I think it goes back to also what makes a good person and what makes a
Mm,
good coach, because that level of authenticity comes through in your marketing. So for me, what makes a good coach is someone that can display that level of care where they truly want to impact and serve. That authenticity from your coaching comes across then in your marketing. You need to serve and actually demonstrate true value and quality.
Welcome to the Spear and Clover podcast, the show where military mindset meets the spirit of the puppy. I'm your host, Jason Skisick, the entrepreneurial evangelist, and each week I bring you the stories of visionaries who see the world as it could be and can't help but take action. If you're enjoying these episodes, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and review. This is the best way to stay in the loop when we drop new content. Don't forget, the conversation continues in our brand new Spear and Clover community group. Check us out on Discord or follow the link in our bios to join this free group for entrepreneurs or wantrepreneurs. Hey, entrepreneurs, does any of this sound familiar? Have you hired only A players? Have you purchased the latest fire plays from so-called gurus? Have you consistently almost become an elite organization, only to have it result in talented employees regressing to mediocrity, tactical plays, spiking performance and then fading away quickly, managers losing discipline and hunger and then leaving or either just coasting? Do you really think the difference between you and the industry-leading team is a hire or a slick new marketing play? That's the same tired crap my Chicago Bears have shoved down my throat for over 30 years. Meanwhile, the Green Bay Packers have had two coaches in 50 years, they've had two quarterbacks in 20 years, and they're a contender every single year. Many leaders buy the best playbooks, draft the best talent, and hire the best coaches, and yet year after year, they return without trophies. Who could blame them? Most business coaches, consultants, and so-called gurus only sell tactical playbooks designed to provide a brief spike followed by a return to business as usual. The truth is, winning is simple. You need a clear North Star supported by managers and role players that have absolutely zero uncertainty about how they can help the team win today. Our simple program helps you become a dynasty organization from top to bottom. Dynasty Defined not only helps you structure a team that is capable of consistently winning championships, but once you do, they'll be writing their own playbooks, recruiting the best talent, and calling their own plays from the field. The choice is yours. Continue to hope that the next hire or brand new marketing play will finally solve all your problems, or commit to winning permanently, roll up your sleeves, and let's get started defining your dynasty. I am beyond pumped to announce that we are now accepting applications for Dynasty Defined. Cohorts are limited to 8 entrepreneurs and they fill up quickly, so head over to www.spearandclover.com now and claim your spot. I have been fortunate enough to have hosted and been on quite a few podcasts this year, and I can tell you honestly that I have gotten energy from doing all of them. I love doing it. However, podcasts, and maybe more importantly, podcast hosts, are not all created equally. There are a select few who bring professionalism, curiosity, and energy that is what I think makes the art form so great. It doesn't matter if you have 100 followers or 1 million followers. At its best, the medium features authenticity and capital T truth. Samuel Main is one such podcaster. The host of The Main Journey, Sam brings unparalleled energy and curiosity to his show, very few folks I've ever met. We instantly hit it off and unsurprisingly decided to record again on my podcast as soon as possible. Sam has a fantastic point of view of the world, and I can't wait to explore that in this conversation. Perhaps more importantly, I've seen him hang snatch an 80-kilo barbell, and I know I can get along with a guy like that. Please welcome my friend, Samuel Main. Sam, how you doing, brother?
Very well. I massively appreciate the intro.
Brother, I tell this whenever it comes up, but I went on somebody else's show. Shout out to Ryan Sprigg, and he honored me. This is something we don't do very often unless you're dead or getting married. And he honored me with a write up that was not my bio, and that he had taken time to think about me. And so I try to do that whenever I possibly can for guests that come on the show, because I find that it's something that we do so rarely. So you, sir, I am honored to have you on my show, and so I wanted to introduce you by honoring you.
Thank you. The world would be a better place if more men complimented other men, right?
I agree. Tell them you love them too. That's another one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, for sure. So Sam, let's pump the brakes a little bit. Let's go back. Tell us a little bit about where you're coming from, and what it is that you do.
I am from the southwest of England. I'd love to tell you it's an amazing place to be, but it is dark, cold, and not very reliable for the weather.
Yeah.
But I am fortunate enough to run my own coaching company, specifically working with fitness professionals and helping them scale their online business.
Mhm.
So it's fully remote, and I've been super fortunate over the last many years being able to travel a lot of the world and do what I enjoy. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
That's wonderful. And where do you find that you're found? Where do you find you're called back to from your travels? Like, where would you go again if you had to go one place?
My favorite place, I've been to around 35 countries so far. My
Wow.
favorite place has been Croatia.
Tell me more, dude.
Stunning,
Yeah.
stunning. The ocean, the water was just unbelievable. You can hire a nice little yacht and just go off for the day and visit some of the nicest beaches you'll ever come across.
Wow.
And, not a huge price tag. Amazing, amazing place to be.
Yeah, I'll have to check that out, man. I've always heard good things about that area of the world, and certainly have met great people from Croatia and other neighboring countries. And man, 35 countries. I thought I was doing good. I think I'm at like 15. That's pretty impressive. I think you're a little more centrally located, which is nice.
It
But that
helps.
that's deliberate for sure. Have you been anywhere like war torn? Have you been to like North Korea or anything wild like that?
Nothing as crazy as that. I've been to Cambodia,
Hmm.
which was an
Hmm.
experience to see going from the Western world to then seeing Cambodia, and
Hmm.
unfortunately the level of poverty there
Hmm.
was certainly difficult to process, but it would be something I would advise to anyone to go and see, because it forces you to become grateful
Yeah.
for what you do have.
I should mention, if you're listening to this and not watching the video, Sam and I have set the ambiance today. We both have blue lighting. We're functioning. We're going to call this Spear and Clover After Dark today. And I can already tell, like, my voice is softer. I'm a little less in your face today. And so thank you for setting the tone. Um, so as we talk about tone, what makes for a good, you're helping people with social media, you're helping people scale their influence. This is something that is obviously one of the questions in business today. So if you had to pick just a few broad things, what makes a good social media platform? What makes a good brand?
It's a great, great question. I think it goes back to also what makes a good person and what makes a
Mm,
good coach,
hmm.
because that level of authenticity comes through in your marketing. So for me, what makes a good coach is someone that can display that level of care where they truly want to impact and serve. Also, someone that can communicate what they need from someone, how they can help them. That authenticity from your coaching comes across then in your marketing. So when it comes to your social media, when it comes to the actual content that you're putting out into the world, you need to apply those two things as well, the care and communication. You need to serve and actually demonstrate true value and quality. It's very easy now to pump out content, right? You can load up your fancy iPhone, take a 60-second video and post.
Yeah.
And the people that are winning in content, and this is something I'm still learning, are the ones that take the time to really script and produce the highest quality of content and they care about it and they
Mhm.
communicate in an efficient way. So I always see this connection between actually how we're delivering our content for our marketing, but also linked then to your coaching and who you are and how you operate.
That's fascinating. I think it's interesting. I've been thinking a lot about technology lately. And so we now have this technology, this social media
Mhm.
platforms. We have news that, is hyper filtered through algorithms and all these other things.
Yeah.
Messages can very efficiently be delivered. And it seems like we use that technology to throw a word volume contest out there as opposed to crafting what I would like copywriting, like the absolute most essential version of your message. And I'm definitely identifying with that when you talk about it,
Yeah.
because I'll use a metaphor that I came up with the other day. I don't know if anybody's going to like this or not. I haven't really figured out how to say it, but I was at the airport and I'm looking at people standing on the elevator. And it just occurred to me, I was like, the person who invented the elevator did it so we could be faster, so we could get where we're going faster and get more done. And yet we choose to use it to be lazy and take it as an opportunity to be a little lazier instead of a little more productive. And I think that's a good metaphor for technology, is like, here we have this unbelievable, rectangular piece of glass and steel and whatever else. um, it's really could be capable of making us better and more effective at spreading our message through the help of somebody like you. How many of us choose to stand on the elevator and take a dumb, lazy ride? Isn't that interesting?
I love the metaphor. And
Well,
ironically, something that you could add to it is that if you keep taking the elevator, then you're going to gradually get slower and slower. You're not going to be able to take the steps.
precisely. And that's why I love it. I even mentioned in my interview of you, or in my introduction to you, I love seeing you do like primal functional movement. When I go to your social media, I'm like, oh, this guy gets it. Like, that's capital T truth, right? Like, that's like your I don't know exactly what your, big M marketing is, but when I look at your social media, I think I get an idea of the type of man you are. And I think that very quickly, people, if you're listening to this and you have a platform or an online business or a coach or any of the number of things that you may be, if I can come to your website and I either can't tell who you are, or B, can tell you're full of shit, you're in trouble. And so maybe if you could speak a little bit, so let's take it from that to marketing. Like, why do we do marketing? And at its best, what is marketing to you?
I think for me, marketing is a way to demonstrate the person that you are, the value you bring to other people, and the results that you deliver.
Mm,
I can fully understand what you mean by you can go to some others, see their marketing, and you instantly go, yeah, I don't want to work with that person. There's a mismatch for what their offer is, what they're delivering.
mhm.
And because they probably do care and they will, of course, want to make some money, but that message is being destroyed by their marketing. So for me in my marketing, what I'm trying to do is hold nothing back. It's to show who I am,
Yeah.
how I coach, because it makes that whole sales process considerably easier. I attract the people that want to work with me and the ones that want the how could I say it? The ones that want the super direct, we're gonna race, I'm gonna drive you to burnout, push you to your max.
Mhm.
That's not me. That's never been who I am as a coach. So why would that be my marketing at the same time?
Yeah, that's
So
smart.
it's a continuum. My marketing is a continuum of me as a coach and as a person. And if it's not, that's where you get caught out. That's where there's a discrepancy. That's where you have, for me, an unsustainable marketing plan
So you
because you're
find
living a
some,
lie.
my apologies. I'm stepping on your pauses today. Maybe it's the ocean between us, or maybe it's just my own poor hosting. But you find somebody who's a good fit, that is a good candidate for you to work with. Do you
Mhm.
find that you're more often bringing the person towards the brand or the brand towards the person?
So sorry, I'm just visualizing this. For me, bringing the person to the brand, because if I'm bringing the brand to the person, then I'm adapting my offer, I'm adapting what I do, adapting how I'm delivering things, and that more than likely for me means I'm getting away from
Hmm.
my core message.
Mhm.
So by bringing the person to the brand, for me, that means that my message is where it needs to be. If I just concentrate on myself and developing the best offer and really highlighting who I want to work with, that should hopefully attract the right person. If my copy is in the right place, my offer, what I'm actually delivering, then they should be coming to me.
If I'm building a brand with truth, am I saying more or am I saying less strategically?
Arguably less,
That's so scary, isn't it? Isn't it scary to be
because it
like,
should be so simple.
yeah, yeah, but you're right. I think you're right. Interesting.
And and I think the more complex you need to be with your marketing, the further away you are from your core and actually what it is you do for your clients.
Yeah, I'll give you a quick story. I don't talk marketing much. I'm not a marketer by trade, really.
Yeah.
But one of my good friends is shout out to Will Taylor. He's been on the show and is like a brother. He came and stayed with me one day, and I took him through the Spear and Clover experience. Like we were just
Okay.
hanging out, but we had lunch together. We went to jujitsu. We talked podcasting and business, and then we went on a ruck march. And him and I both had 40-pound packs on our backs, and we walked through the Indiana Dunes here, and we shared a log. So I carried a log, and when I couldn't carry it anymore, I passed it off to him, and we never let it touch the ground until the very end. Sun's going down. We put the log on the ground. We're leaning up against the log. And I looked over and I go, marketing is giving somebody the feeling like they just did what we did without them having to be wet and sweaty and covered in sand, after an 11-mile ruck. And so to me, I've sort of been, that's the ethic that I'm trying to live up to, and to varying degrees of success. I wonder if the people that you work with, are you able to help them capture those feelings? And if so, are there tricks or tips that you can recommend to people listening on how they could do that better?
For me, it's nearly always simplification of their offer,
Mm,
because when the offer is too complex, that is where you also need the fancy marketing to sell it.
mm,
When you know that you take your client from position A to position B, and you're just selling that little bridge in between, it's simple. It's one thing. That's just what I do. Now, now I need to go and market that. It doesn't need to be complex. I help you, for a fitness example, which I work in majority of the time. I
sure.
help you lose 20 pounds in 90 days. It doesn't need to be that complex. Everyone knows exactly what that is. When someone knows, oh, now I need to lose some weight, where do I go? Oh, I want to lose 20 pounds. Cool. I know exactly where to go to.
Mhm.
If your offer is super complex and you're adding all the time, that's where your marketing now needs to change. And that applies a lot more pressure. So by simplifying the offer, it allows you to also simplify and make your marketing even more direct.
Why do you think that we're pulled in this direction of complexity? Why do you think we're pulled in that bolt on direction as opposed to the Steve Jobs simplification, the quadrant thing?
It's like adding sprinkles to an ice cream,
Yeah.
right? People think that that's going to be what's going to sell, but it's not. People just want the core flavor. They want the ice cream to be the best, right? Um, that's just a visual that came to mind. But
Yeah. Yeah. It's brilliant.
ultimately, they think that we need all of these extras, but it's not. People, if you help someone lose that 20 pounds, they're going to be ecstatic,
Mhm.
ecstatic. So I think it's attacking that core issue and core desire that someone has. And if you can do that consistently, you're going to have an amazing, amazing business. But if we get distracted and go on to all the other things, that's where you can add too much complexity to your program, to your deliverables, to your coaching. And that's where you start to, under deliver.
Why do you think so many fitness people end up as coaches and marketers?
From my experience so far, and my experience started off as a coach on the gym floor, transitioned then in being in the trenches, learning the business aspect. And now I've started serving a couple of people not in the fitness industry. It's actually because to be successful in the fitness industry, there's so much competition. There really is. There's so many coaches, there's so many online coaches. So you actually need a pretty high level of understanding for marketing and business to be successful in the fitness industry, in my experience so far. In the relatively minimal exposure I've had to other industries, from the ones that I've been in so far, you haven't needed as much marketing experience to make more money and to have success. So that is why I think that some people have transitioned from the fitness industry into then marketing, is because they've spent years studying, learning marketing to be successful in fitness. And then when they've gone to other industries, they've gone, oh, my skills carry over and transfer well.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, I've now got, a lot more opportunity. And from one of my clients that I was previously working with, we grew their business to be doing, I think their best month was somewhere around like 45 grand or so of profit in the fitness industry. And these were experienced coaches, been working out a very long time. And honestly, the two owners could pretty much both walk into majority of marketing jobs. They understood paid traffic, organic traffic. They had lots of different CRM set up. They knew the journey. They knew their client acquisition cost, all of these metrics. If they'd have taken that same knowledge to a different industry, you could probably add another 0 to their profit. So yeah, I don't know if that directly answers your question, but that's been my exposure so far. It could be wrong because I've only got minimal exposure to other industries, but so far it's been very interesting serving these other clients. I've helped a client get to the point where they're doing about 30K profit per month, and their level of marketing experience compared to the other fitness clients I've worked with is nowhere near.
Yeah.
Nowhere near.
Yeah, I know. That's why it's same with coaching. I think to become a fitness professional, you first fall in love with your own transformation, and then you help others to create their transformation. And then you find that, there is sort of a primal, and I mean that in like a literal sense. There's like a primal archetype of certain industries, right? Healthcare, school, fitness, nutrition, like the grocery store, stuff like that. And so there is certain things that are just like archetypal, part of our communities, no matter what. And when you know your body, you ultimately have to understand the psychology behind it. So a lot of what you're saying is coming right through. So tell me a little bit more about like your personal journey, as far as like what motivates you to want to help to tell other people's stories through this marketing methods, because it's always interesting to me when someone, especially someone as sharp as you, chooses to tell other people's story. By the way, I do the same thing in different ways, so I'm not discounting it. I'm just saying it's interesting. Yeah. So tell me why you like to help other people tell their stories.
It was selfish. It really was.
Yeah.
I knew I had accumulated and met some amazing people on my travels, through the coaching, through building the business, through events, masterminds. I knew I'd created this network of just amazing people, individuals, entrepreneurs, professional adventurers, people that have traveled 140 plus countries, authors. And I was like, man, I wish I could get coached by these people. I wish that I could learn more from them. I wish I could create a better connection and have those deep and meaningful conversations. And I was already investing, 5 figures a year for me into coaching. I was like, I don't have much more that I can keep bleeding that account. And I was like, it was one of those things where, believe it or not, the universe was telling me, okay, you need to start a podcast. In a span of 2-3 weeks, I had about 4 or 5 people that said, oh, do you have a podcast? You should have a podcast. And whether it's just my subconscious picking up that because I was thinking about it, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to think about this a bit more clearly. And then one person who I wanted to connect with anyway just said, hey, I'll be your first guest. When can you start? And the next day, hit record. 5 minutes in, I was like, okay, this is amazing. This is so much fun. And now how I approach those podcasts, and I love that you've been able to experience it. Again, you're someone I want to learn from. I stalked you a lot. Full transparency, stalked you a lot. And
Yeah,
I was like,
too,
there
buddy.
is so much that I can learn. And you're a cool person. Like, that's someone I want to sit around a fire with and trade stories and talk and connect. So for me, starting a podcast, of course, there is the business aspect and that it can be beneficial there because more people are hearing my voice for a longer period of time than other formats of content. But primarily, selfishly, it was because I wanted to connect and learn from more people. And what's happened from there is it's allowed me to meet even more people and connect. And then what people haven't seen, and I haven't talked about it very much, is actually the amount of opportunity that has come from just having the podcast. I've had 3 job offers from my podcast, and it's still relatively new. And that's just through the people that I've met and the conversations that we've had. And I think that that's pretty powerful, that level of personal branding and how that can transition elsewhere.
So you said something really interesting there that was the sitting around the fire. Is podcasting sitting around a fire? Because I think we have a long human history of spoken words, of storytelling, and passing and community, right? You see when
Yeah.
two tribes come together in any story you can think of, whether it's Romans or African tribes or Indian tribes, it doesn't matter. When they come together, if it's gonna work out okay, it's probably around a fire with a dead animal roasting over a spit, something, you know. And so to some extent, is that what you view this art form as being for us right now? Because it's certainly not network television, right?
Yeah, that's it. There's different variations. For me, my podcast, and likely to be the same for you, is it sitting around a fire, having these deep, meaningful conversations that, let's be honest, we don't have as much in real life, and we should have more of these conversations, but we don't. But there is also then the other side of podcasting, which for some is, maybe a solo cast where it's delivering, like, I don't want to say true value, but you have an intention behind that podcast and a topic to delve into. For me, I wanted that fireside chat because I didn't want to do the podcast just for a business sake. I wanted to connect and have cool chats and meet
Yeah.
cool people and have fun and laugh and learn and have that level of vulnerability and authenticity as well. So that for me, when you're sitting around a fire and having those conversations, it's so powerful. And I've got some amazing memories of doing that with people. And if I can create that again with the podcast, I'm winning. The audience is winning. The person that sat in the fire with me is winning. It's just a healthy place to be.
So you're obviously a super interesting and well-traveled person who has really, I would call virtuous goals. What is the speed limit that is keeping you from going 10 miles an hour faster right now?
Good question. Arguably loyalty.
Okay, expound.
I'm loyal to a fault, and that it in a way self-sabotages my own growth. I've made a commitment to build a business with a partner, and arguably I could run faster if I was doing my own business. But I made a commitment and I'm loyal to that, and I want to see that through. So with what I'm doing in my business, I have my own coaching company, but then I'm building another company with someone else. So that's kind of that handbrake at the moment. I know that they can both succeed, but it does then mean I'm building 2 businesses and my foot's on the throttle a lot. So yeah, that's where I'm at.
If you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go further, go together.
Yeah,
So, you're doing it. You're doing it, man.
we've
That's
got
good.
the mix of both worlds. But it's also, I knew that there was huge value to have as well, having the partner. So that, yeah, arguably for me, that's also enabling me to grow my own business quicker too, because I'm learning lessons with the partner.
Yeah.
You quite quickly spot your own faults.
I've heard you say the word learning 20 times in the 2
Mhm.
conversations we've had. What place does learning occupy in your life, and when did you really realize that?
Great question. I originally stopped coaching on the gym floor because it was the time when Instagram started to come into place, and my eyes were open to what the potential is. At the same time, I read the book 4 Hour Work Week. I know, a very popular book for a lot of people, but that was my trigger book that made me really question the direction and where I was going. That started a whirlwind of challenges. I was practically homeless for a long time. I was building a company for a long time where I was paid very, very little. I was in the trenches. When you're building a startup company, that's where you're at. That's where you live. You make it comfortable. At the time, I was so frugal and I was scared to spend money. And I promise I'm getting to your question here. And I since then, through my study, through my learning, through my reading, I realized that you can only keep going back to zero with your frugality. And it changed my own belief system to be like, actually, you could earn so much. And your earning potential is only limited by your own level of knowledge, your own experience, and your courage that you have to fulfill those opportunities. So I'm in a stage of my life right now where I'm actively trying to learn as much as I can, become the best person that I can, the strongest, healthiest version of myself, because I know that that will carry over to not only income, but then impact at the same time. So arguably everything I'm doing in my life right now is to learn. And that I know if I can continue that path, I don't need to worry about, oh, my retirement, what's that going to look like? Am I going to have enough money? No. If I can learn, keep raising my income, keep serving, keep helping, that's a path I want to be on. And it's a path I love and enjoy.
Yeah.
How fortunate am I that I get to read, study, connect with amazing people, and I get to call that my job. It's amazing.
Yeah, I think podcasters typically start with big mouths, and if we're very fortunate, we end up with big ears. And what I'm hearing is that you've got some pretty big ears. So shout out to you for that.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. Okay, so would if you met yourself from 10 years from now, what would he tell you you're currently wrong about?
We have a very similar question for the podcast. I love it.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think I would say to myself, go easy on myself,
Mm,
because I push and push and push. Whereas actually, in a way, I need to relax. It's gonna be okay. I'm on an amazing path, amazing trajectory.
mhm.
I'm doing some amazing things in business. I'm serving loads of people. I'm getting to work on passion projects. I've got a roof over my head. I'm healthy. I don't need to constantly apply that unhealthy level of stress and pressure. Yes, it's going to help me grow, but there's a diminishing return to the amount of stress and pressure that I put on. So for me, my future self would actually say, relax, go easy, keep working hard, be patient, you'll get there.
Getting there. Let's say you get there. In your wildest dreams, you're as successful as you can possibly imagine.
Mm-hmm.
What does your life look like? And how is the world different because of you?
I don't think my life will change too much, as crazy as that sounds, because I prioritize my days around, I get to work out. I've got an amazing fitness group that I get to spend time with. I spend a lot of my day studying because I know that that then transfers over to my own coaching and myself. I get to work with other business owners, helping them scale. My days are great. you know, I think how it will change is just my level of impact will expand. I want to be able to serve even more people in business. I have a small men's group that I'm developing that's helping men in business, but also in their personal relationships and their own performance. So I see that expanding. That's the direction I see myself going in. Really, it's just amplification of what I'm already doing.
If there's such a thing as a perfect answer, Sam, I think that was one. There's two questions that I ask every single person that comes on this show, and I'd like to ask you those questions now. Are you ready?
Hit me.
All right. Number one, if you had access to unlimited financial capital, how would you profitably grow the current businesses that you have now?
That's a great question. How would I profitably grow? I would bring in, for the men's group that I have, I'd bring in even more experts in different industries, because that would allow me to expand the amount of people that we can serve at any given time. For my own coaching program, I would, this might be cheating, I would go and interview some even higher level players so that I can continue my understanding, my growth, and that will transfer over to my clients and continue to expand there. And then for the other business that I'm developing, it's still in the early stages. I actually don't know if having $1 million would change things right now. It's in a healthy place. We have access to a lot of capital if we need it. And it's just in the initial testing phases of what we're doing. So that one I don't think would be impacted as much as the others would be.
Yeah,
But
I remember one day walking down the street. I just done a float, so I was really
yes,
like
nice.
introspective. And I was looking at a skyscraper, and I was like, I want to have a skyscraper one day. And then in my mind, I was like, wait, no, you don't make a skyscraper because you want a skyscraper. You build a business that needs to have a skyscraper in order to be efficient, because you have so much business and so many employees that you need to get everybody together centrally located, and you need it to be located in a place where the smartest and highest performers live. Now, this is sort of an antiquated idea given technology these days, but what you're telling me is the skyscraper will come when it's warranted by the business. And I think that's a really smart answer. The second question, Sam, is if you had to give up every business you are currently or have ever done and start something totally new that you've never tried before, what do you think that might be?
I actually have this in mind, but it's a process for me of getting there. And that is, I love to travel. I love to move around. And it's a combination of two things and two ideas, and I'd love to get your perspective on these. One is I tried to set up years and years ago a guest coaching business where CrossFit coaches and CrossFit affiliates are typically, unfortunately, the owners of the coaches. So when they want to take a holiday, take a break, or something happens to them, there's no cover and they get stuck. So they're working all the time. So I tried to set up this guest coaching company where you could hire me and I will fly to wherever you are and I will coach and keep your doors open so that you can keep keep the profits coming in and sort whatever you need to do. And eventually that would be then other coaches, and you could bring in some, famous athletes or whatever it may be. So that'd be one. And then also I'd love to get a camper van and tour around visiting CrossFit gyms, reviewing their business, their coaching, their systems, their facilities, and providing them actionable feedback to improve their service and improve their business overall.
Brilliant. It's so interesting how certain things, yoga, CrossFit, jiu-jitsu, running, cycling, rock climbing, there's certain things where there's like a whole, it's fractal, right? Like if you like this thing, you will quickly like all of those things. So you talk about having a camper van, and it's like every CrossFitter I know would love to have a camper van, not necessarily to live in, but definitely to have.
Yeah.
Everybody I know would love that. I just love it, man. And candidly, we were thinking about starting not quite the same business, but a business where it would be retreats for CrossFit gyms. So you could bring your community to our retreat. And it was actually based off of an experience I had with Tim Kennedy's Sheepdog Response course. Shout out to Tim Kennedy, my fucking superhero. That guy's amazing. Great, Sam. So as we bring this thing in for a close, we have been blessed with tons of interesting insights from you. I am certain that somebody listening to this is going to want to find you and seek you out to help them. How can they find you, and what should they do to reach out to you?
Absolutely. The best place would be either YouTube or Spotify or Apple for the podcast, and you can just search The Main Journey and you'll find me real quick.
Absolutely. Sam, thank you so much for coming on. You're welcome back anytime.
I appreciate it. Thank you, Jason. It's been a lot of fun.